Wayne Nathan Nance was born on October 18, 1955, in Missoula, Montana. He spent his childhood in a mobile home on the outskirts of town. Nance's parents both worked, his father as a trucker and his mother as a waitress, so he grew up as a latchkey kid. However, he still managed to do well in school. Wayne Nance was labeled as a weirdo ever since he disclosed as a teenager that he worshipped Satan and had once used a hot coat hanger to brand himself with the symbols of Satan. Hello everyone. In today's video, we'll be discussing the life of the Missoula Mauler, Wayne Nance, who was killed by the last family that he terrorized. Before we go on, please hit the bell icon to receive post notifications when new videos drop. Let's get started. At the age of only 18, Wayne Nance murdered his first person for reasons that are still unknown. On April 11, 1974, while Harvey Pounds, a deacon at Bethel Baptist Church, was at work, Nance broke into his house. In a tragic twist, Donna, Pounds' wife, was left alone at home. Nance was a frequent guest and friend of the family who was aware of the location of Pounds' .22 caliber Luger. He secretly went into the bedroom, retrieved the gun, and raped Donna while holding her at gunpoint while she was bound. After he was done, he opened fire, sinking 5 bullets into her skull. A neighbor said they had seen Nance outside the house late that night, but that didn't help much. The police later discovered bloody underwear in the house, but since it had been washed, they couldn't tell where the blood had come from. Due to the fact that Harvey Pounds was having an affair at the time of his wife's death, he was immediately suspected of being the killer. The murder became unsolved because there wasn't enough evidence to convict anyone, and the Missoula Mauler's reign of terror began. After 5 years, the body of a teenage girl who had been raped and stabbed was discovered in the area of Beavertail Hill State Park. In 1985, she was finally revealed to be 15-year-old Seattle fugitive Donna Nelson. Prior to this discovery, she was known only as Betty Beavertail because she matched no missing persons report. Nance worked as a bouncer at the Cabin Bar in Missoula back in 1984. He was seeing a 16-year-old vagrant named Marcella Bachman, whose nickname was Robin. The couple declared their intention to leave in September and begin a new life elsewhere. Robin's body was then discovered in the woods of Missoula 3 months after they disappeared. It took 3 months for her body to decompose to the point where the pathologist could only determine that she had been shot 3 times in the head and died. She was only identified as Bachman in 2006, but was known as Debbie Deer Creek after the crime scene. Most of Nance's adolescent issues seem to have been resolved by the time he turned 30. Both his coworkers and friends described him as just an average guy, not knowing he was a serial killer in disguise. In September of 1985, authorities discovered yet another body that they couldn't positively identify. A local hunter was following the trail of a bear he had shot south of Missoula, Montana, when he came across human bones. It has been determined through preliminary research that the victim was a female. 2 bullets, each 32 millimeters in diameter, entered the skull from close range, resulting in instant death. According to research, the woman was probably between the ages of 20 and 35 and stood about 5 feet tall, weighing around 100 pounds. It was said that her hair was thin, brown, and wavy. The victim, a woman known as Jane Doe and Christy Crystal Creek in the community. Nance resumed his home invasions on December 12, 1985. Mike and Teresa Shook and their 3 young children were finishing up dinner when Nance came pounding on the door. Mike was murdered with a butcher knife after opening the door, and his wife was raped after being dragged to their bedroom. After he was done with Teresa, he stabbed her to death and tried to set fire to the house with the children inside, but the neighbors raised alarm and he escaped. Authorities discovered the children alive, but Wayne Nance and any evidence connecting him to the brutal home invasion had vanished. Nance's next targets were Chris and Doug Wells, who, fortunately, were able to save themselves from their untimely deaths. Nance found a job at Conlon's Furniture working there undercover. He had good looks and would have faded into obscurity if he hadn't reverted to his violent ways. Wayne was a delivery worker at Conlon's Furniture in Missoula, where Chris worked as the store manager. Wayne Nance fell hopelessly in love with Chris Wells. Chris Wells and her husband Doug were in their 100 Parker Court home on the night of September 3, 1986, when Wayne attempted to murder them. Doug went outside on September 3, 1986, after he saw someone lurking in his bushes. Nance claimed he had been driving by and pulled over after seeing someone peering into the house when he was discovered. Nance pistol-whipped Doug as he turned to get a flashlight. At gunpoint, Chris was told to restrain her husband. Before sending Doug to the cellar, Nance tied Chris up and dragged her to the bedroom. Nance went back to the bedroom once he was sure that Doug was dead from the 8-inch knife wound he had inflicted. According to Doug's testimony, he lost his temper after Nance wiped the bloody knife on his pants. As soon as Nance left Doug in the basement and went upstairs, Doug broke free of his restraints, loaded a single round into his Savage 250 3000 Model 99 rifle, and climbed the stairs to his bedroom. Doug shot Nance in the side. Slowly, he made his way back to the bedroom, stumbling as Doug kept swinging the rifle at him. Nance got out his .22 revolver and fired 3 shots in the bedroom. After taking several shots to the head, Nance eventually passed out. As a result of the attack, Doug Wells was hospitalized with several injuries, including a bullet wound to the leg, a stab wound to the chest, bruises to the head and chest, and various contusions. On September 4th, 1986, Nance was pronounced dead at St. Patrick's Hospital. Authorities were unable to link Wayne Nance to his crimes until after his death. Christy Crystal Creek's disappearance was a mystery even after forensic anthropologists and a forensic odontologist worked on the case for decades, and after hours of research were spent combing through missing person databases in the United States and Canada. The Missoula County Sheriff's Office Cold Case Unit teamed up with Othram in 2021 to use cutting-edge DNA testing to try to identify the female victim with funding from the Sexual Assault Kit Initiative SAKI program of the Montana Department of Justice. Othram uncovered Christy Crystal Creek's family tree by using forensic-grade genome sequencing and an exclusive human enrichment process. Special deputies Susan Lane and Deanna Parker of the cold case investigation teams have received a profile back. The Lucas family of Spokane, Washington was found after weeks of exhaustive genealogical research that revealed DNA relatives and family trees. Christy Crystal Creek has been definitively identified as Janet L. Lucas through extensive interviews and additional DNA testing of relatives. Family and friends confirm that she disappeared from Sandpoint, Idaho in the summer of 1983. Investigators are now reaching out to the general public in the hopes of locating anyone who may have known or seen Janet in Missoula during the summer of 1983 and into 1984. No records have been found showing Janet living in or spending time in Montana. The number of victims of the Missoula Mauler are unknown. Do you ever wonder what the outcome would have been if Doug Wells didn't keep a gun at home? If Doug Wells hadn't killed Wayne Nance, how many more people do you think he would have killed? Drop your thoughts in the comment section below. We'll see you at the next one.